Hi, this is Dr. Mercola, and today I'm here with Clint Ober, and we're here to demonstrate the science behind a really powerful principle called grounding or earthing. And it's like many things in life, you can't feel these, so you really need some objective documentation to really demonstrate what's going on here. And to do that, we've put together some really easily available tools, such as a low voltage electronic meter that you can pick up pretty much anywhere, and Clint will describe it in more detail, for under $10. So you can see this for yourself. We just put it together in one centralized location so you can see that. But if you don't believe it, you can replicate this and perform this observation for your own analysis. So thank you, Clint, for coming and joining us and helping us understand how this whole science of grounding and earthing is, the principles are based on.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. It's a real pleasure to be here and share this. Never sure where to start, but I think the first thing we'll try to explain is the EMFs. Everybody's heard about them. Most people don't quite understand them. And to a large degree, people are somewhat in denial that they exist because they don't know how to deal with them. Yeah.
And it's somewhat like smoking. You know, you're not going to, most people aren't going to have a negative impact initially. It's only over long-term exposure that you have a problem.
Right. So I think what we'll do is start with the main thing. We have a lamp here that's plugged in, and the thing that everybody needs.
This is just a conventional halogen lamp, not necessarily the healthiest lamp from a light perspective around, but nevertheless an example of something that's plugged in that isn't an appliance that we're typically exposed to.
We could use a toaster, a hairdryer, a lamp, anything, any type of lamp, and as long as they're plugged in, they're going to radiate an electric field. And most people are unaware that these exist, and what makes them, what they're most unaware of, if I can have you hold your hand flat out here, this one. Okay. You're sitting next to the lamp. Put this hand closer to the lamp. So you can see that your body is a conductor. You are an antenna. And so if you're ungrounded in free space, meaning...
And I'm not grounded now.
Yeah, if you're ungrounded in free space meaning you're above the ground, then these electric fields are going to be attracted to your body, and there's lines of force that try to pull you into compliance. So it creates a surface charge on your body, a voltage.
And this is not new. This is actually well established and recognized within many industries, like the medical field and surgery. A surgeon's not going to operate on you in the operating room unless you're grounded.
That's correct.
For these principles, and also electronics.
Yeah, anybody who works on software chips in the factories, they have to be grounded so that they don't build up any static electricity or charges on their body, so when they touch something that it'll harm the software or blow the chip.
And this is for the very reasons that we're describing now, that you can easily demonstrate yourself if you don't believe it.
Right. And grounding, or grounding the body to prevent these charges goes back to the dynamite industry in the very beginning and the gasoline industry, because if you have a static spark and you're unloading gasoline, you'll have an explosion.
And you're dead.
If you have a spark in a fireworks factory or a dynamite factory, it's up in smoke. So it's a very real phenomena, and huge amounts of money are spent annually protecting people from, protecting equipment, and just protecting environments and so on. So anyhow, the main thing is this is what's called a low voltage electric field detector. They have high voltage, which the low voltage will work best for what we're trying to identify here. These are sold in all the hardware stores, any electronics store, and they usually run anywhere from $6 to $10, $12. So, but it's really nothing more than to demonstrate that the reason these exist is for an electrician or somebody working with electrical wiring. They can go into the wall and identify where the wires are, and before they drill holes, or to make sure that a wire is actually, energized. And so that's all they're really for, is just to identify that an electric field exists.
Yeah, but it's an interesting gadget to have for yourself to show and demonstrate, and
Right.
it's really inexpensive. It's only under
Right.
$10.
So the main thing that what we wanted to do next is, I mean, this is the field, and so what we want to do is measure the effects of the field on a human body. So what I'm going to ask you to do is put, let's say, this hand here. I'm just going to put an electrode patch here so we have a good connection. And you can just be comfortable. And what we're doing here is we're going to set, this is a regular conventional voltmeter. So one thing that's important to know about these fields is its proximity. The closer you are to an electrical device or an electrical cord, the more charge that's going to be created on your body. If you move away, it drops to near zero. So what we've done here, just to illustrate the effect of grounding, because we were talking about it earlier with the dynamite and so on, is this particular mat here is grounded. It's similar to something that is commonly used in the electrical environment, but this is grounded to the earth. And so I'm going to ask Joe, to, if you're watching the voltage here, to reach over and put your other hand right here. And we'll see that the voltage dropped from, I think, a little over 1 volt down to 0.002 of a volt.
Essentially insignificant. At what point does the voltage level become significant biologically? I mean, there's a range.
You know, there's many different thoughts on it. To me, 0 is perfect because that's where we would be in nature.
If you're out in a forest or at the ocean, you're going to be pretty close to 0.
You're going to be 0.
Yeah.
There'll be noise on background noise on the earth. But in a living environment, if you can get this down below, to me, 100 millivolts, 20 millivolts.
Okay. So 1 is 1,000 millivolts.
Yeah, 1 volt is 1,000 millivolts. In the average home,
and that's my normal exposure just sitting here is
Yes.
1,000 millivolts.
Yeah,
and up to 2,000 when I go to the.
Yeah, if you were in a typical home, where I've done most of my measurements is in the bedroom, because you've got the lamps, and then the thing that's really important to know is during sleep is probably when people are more exposed to electric fields than any other time. And you would think it's the computer.
It's the most vulnerable time to be exposed to them.
Yeah.
Because
And
your body's in repair and regeneration mode.
Exactly. And you would think it would be the computer. And computer's second, and it's high. But what's happening when you go to bed at night? Well, first of all, if you were to see your home being built, and I know here in Chicago, they have metal-clad conduit in all the walls, all the homes, and all the buildings.
We're one of the few communities in the country where this is actually code.
Yes. Yeah.
Most communities are not like that.
Santa Monica, California is, for example, but the majority of communities in the United States are not. But anyhow, when they build your house, they run the 2x4s up and down. And so if you were to go into your bedroom before they put up the wallboard, you would see these 2x4s running all over. And then the electrician comes by waist high and drills the holes in the 2x4s. And then they run the wire from the outlets up to the, and run through the holes, and then down to the outlets, up to the switches, and back to the mains and wherever. So after they put the wallboard up, and you have the outlets here, so you put your bed up against the wall. And then you've got an outlet on each side. You put in your lamps or your nightstands, and you put your lamps. Many people have cell phone chargers, various devices, electrical. And there's been a lot of concern about that over the last 2 decades. Everybody's saying, unplug your lamp, unplug this, do this. But the real problem probably is more when you put your bed up against the wall, and you put your pillow on the bed, and you go to bed at night, and you put your head on the pillow, you are within 6 inches of this bundled Romax behind the wall, going back and forth to outlets and switches and so on. And to me, you can unplug everything in your home, but this is probably one of the more... And
so if you were hooked up to one of these voltmeters, what would the typical range be? Someone sleeping in a bed, which is the type of environment that 99% of the people in this country are exposed to. What do you think the ranges would be?
I've measured hundreds and hundreds of homes from Florida to Washington, California to New York, and the average probably is around a little over 2 volts.
All right, so 2,000 millivolts.
Yes.
So literally 20 times higher than it should be.
Yes. And I really hate to tell people about this sometimes, But it's important, and the reason it's important, if you think just unplugging a lamp is going to solve your problem, it may or may not. But there are other issues, so it's not misleading people is what
Sure.
I'm really
So
trying to
those are big issue. We're going to go into that discussion with some of the other interviews that we're going to go in detail in another video. But let's continue with this demonstration because you have some software set up here.
Yes.
It's actually an oscilloscope, and if you can discuss what that is.
So,
I just want to continue here.
So we're through with the voltmeter, so I'm just going to disconnect you from that. And this is, you can buy a voltmeter at any of the, again, any of the hardware stores,
What
electronic
do those typically
stores.
run?
The one I recommend to most everybody is like $29.
All right,
needs
so still really inexpensive.
It needs to read in millivolts. It needs to be a digital display and usually Radio Shack is the one I buy the most of because it's easier for most people. Mm-hmm. And the only thing you need with it is they come with a probe, you know, a red probe that's got a point on it. I usually don't recommend people do that. And then
some might injure themselves.
Yeah, but I don't encourage people to play with voltmeters if they don't know what they're doing, because you're measuring electricity. If you know what you're doing, no issues, no problems. But you need to take a little time and learn what they are and how they work. But for what we're doing here, body voltages, they're very simple. We have a wire here that's probably a 40-foot wire that you can go outdoors with a little ground rod that you actually stick in the earth. So earth is your...
You have to ground the voltmeter before
Yes.
you do the measurements. Otherwise, you're not going to get a valid reading.
Yeah, what you're doing is you need a reference. You need to ground it to the earth because what you're trying to do is know what I would be on the earth, and now I'm here in space. Okay. And so
space meaning separated from the earth.
Separated.
It could be a few inches, not outer space.
Yeah, it could be 1 inch, or it could be several feet. So, so anyhow, you can buy the meters very inexpensively. Wires not expensive. Getting a little ground rod configuration for the people who want to play with this. It's very simple and very straightforward.
Yeah, I'd encourage you to do that. I mean, it's a lot of times we need to demonstrate this to ourselves, not trust anyone we're seeing in a video.
Yeah. Every time.
But we're giving you the details on how you can validate that for yourself with your own tools. So you can see that, but if you don't believe it, you can replicate this and perform this observation for your own analysis. So thank you, Clint, for coming and joining us and helping us understand how this whole science of grounding and earthing is a powerful principle called grounding or earthing. And it's like many things in life, you can't feel these, so you really need some objective documentation to really demonstrate what's going on here. And to do that, we've Hi, this is Dr. Mercola, and today I'm here with Clint Ober, and we're here to demonstrate the science behind the principles are based on.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. It's a real pleasure to be here and share this. Never sure where to start, but I think the first thing we'll try to explain is the EM.
Put together some really easily available tools, such as a low voltage electronic meter that you can pick up pretty much anywhere, and Clint will describe it in more detail, for under $10. So you can see this for yourself. We just put it together in one centralized location